Good evening, Super League fans and managers across the globe, or at least to Mr. Edwards, who is who has kindly joined us. We'll see if anyone else turns up. If not, then it's you, me, and I was going to say the ever-present Mr. Fifey. Good evening, Stephen.
Hello, good evening. Evening, Ian.
Oh, we've got the mega horses here as well. Oh, it's just not refreshed. Oh, let me refresh. We've got Wooder here. We've got Potato Mourinho here. We've got Dan Mega Horse here. It's all kicking off. It's all kicking off. I trust you've all had the pleasure of seeing the result of the video investigation or whatever it was that Rob was referring to earlier. What did you make of I can't stop laughing at it. I would
Well,
like to read. What did you make of the video that Rob put up there?
absolutely superb value, superb banter, and the ultimate aim with the Super League is all about us having some fun on socials.
I was gonna say that is next level. I mean, I know I've had a dig at Rob and Ian for just like calling each other sort of like I don't know, like kind of sort of it's a little bit sort of homoerotic, the whole name calling thing, and obviously I encouraged them to up their game a little bit, and quite clearly they did. So Ian's obviously Mr. Campbell on point with his videos, and Rob's just taking it to the next level. Wood says fun on socials, yeah. Potato Mourinho requests that we delay the kickoff of the Astor game. Well, we can do that. His youngest child is being difficult, so he's not on particularly early. Anyway, good to see at least some managers joining in the chat. I appreciate that. That maybe it's not been easy for everyone, especially some of the English contingent to contain their celebrations. How did you enjoy the Croatia game, Fifey?
I was relieved that we won. I thought there were some good performances. I thought there were some concerning lulls. I thought Kyle Walker didn't have the best game, but Calvin Phillips was immense. I was a bit surprised that Foden was the first player taken off. Kane was extraordinarily quiet. But all in all, we won. We're off, and it's the first step on football coming home.
Yeah, I mean, 3 points on the board, and as a British citizen, I can only applaud the performance of the team, of our team. So yeah, no, I was happy. As you and everyone else knows, I don't watch a lot of football these days, but I was quite pleased to see Calvin Phillips. He looks like a decent. I mean, maybe it's not a one-off if he's selected for England, obviously, but he looks like a decent player and someone who can be a little bit like a deep line kind of player, but also create a little bit. So quite versatile there, wasn't he? So.
Yeah, you know what it is? Obviously, Scott and Steve and they'll all see him a lot, even more regular than I will. But I obviously watch a lot of football league as well. So when Leeds were in the Championship, the year they got promoted, I was saying to a lot of the guys at work who are mostly like Leicester fans, obviously, I was like, Calvin Phillips, tell you what, 1 year in the Premier League, he'll be in the England squad, no question. I said he is superb, and then they were like, no, people normally take a bit longer to adapt on that. No, he was superb today. And I'll tell you who else I was quite pleased for because he got a lot of shit online. Was Tyrone Mings. I thought he was actually England's best defender today. Which,
Eh, not argue the competition might not be that stiff, but I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Apparently, he was very solid. I saw online that some people were mentioning that he'd hardly put a foot wrong, which makes a difference from putting it in other people's faces, but all season. But yeah, not a bad performance from him either. Obviously, Croatia side that didn't look like the. I mean, I appreciate it's what 3 years ago that the last international tournament, so it's obviously a different side, but they certainly didn't look like the team they did at the previous international tournament. But I guess that's more than enough England chat already, and I can see that people have started to arrive in the chat. We've got Ryan here. I thought you were still traveling up from the south, Ryan, but welcome. Steve Wright is here, Rob's here, Mr. Campbell, Greaves is here. Looking good, looking good. So what do you think we just reacquaint ourselves with the missing Lovren at the back, best centre half in the world? Yeah.
mine. Sorry, just before you move on
Uh-huh.
from the, wanted to say, obviously everyone. was really shocked and sad about what happened yesterday with Denmark, and it was slightly reassuring to hear the news on Ericsson today, and just hope it turns out.
Yeah, yeah, it was a bit of a it was obviously a shock. No one likes to see these kind of things. Fortunately, of course, the medical staff are well trained, the players are well trained, and the national hospital, so which is like the equivalent of whatever the biggest hospital in London or whatever is literally around the corner from the stadium. So it was never really in doubt that he was going to receive like the best attention there. So, but I mean, there's a lot of narrative around what the BBC should have done, and I wasn't particularly professional in my outbursts around that and all this, and I don't really care what the BBC should have done, sort of in hindsight, and what UEFA should have done and whether they should have played the game or whatever. I think one of the kind of key things that I hope that someone takes away from this is the whole thing about learning CPR and the defibrillators and the availability. I appreciate that countries are different, but should maybe mention that there is something called heart runners, I think they're called, in Denmark, and there's 112,000 people who all have an app on their phone. So if there is a case of a heart attack somewhere, then people who are within, I can't remember how many miles, they get like a message on their phone, and then it shows them where the nearest defibrillator is and where the event is taking place or whatever it is, and then they kind of sprint over, and I think it's increased from something like 7 to 20% of the people who have a heart attack receive CPR before the ambulance arrives, thanks to things like that. So it's obviously not something you go about thinking about a lot in your day-to-day business, but I mean, I'm happy that I know how to do it, and I've obviously had these kind of trainings as part of my job at Shell because they were very keen on stuff like that. But something that people should definitely do. I think St. John's Ambulance and all these kind of places, I think they offer it for free, probably. I don't know. Something to think about anyway. So positive news is that he's obviously doing well and was able to talk to the guys, and they played the game and they lost, but as the prime minister said, it was not really, like, no one really cares, to be completely honest, what the result of the game was. So we'll see how the next two play out for Denmark and our chances for progress. Having to play Belgium is never good, but who knows, we'll see what happens.
And it's just worth noting that Holland have literally just gone 1-0 up as well.
Oh, well done, the Netherlands. Well, I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on that. Either way, with that taken care of, real life activities taken care of, let's remind ourselves of what happened a week ago. Obviously with the co-chairman what was it, his Butlin's holiday or whatever it was, with the Fulchester manager and some other people down in the southwest of England. We didn't have midweek fixtures, so let's see. Um, Bostock Stanley 2-2 against Fulchester. Is that really what happened last time out?
Yeah,
True. Ah, yeah, the Etu double. True. Decent game that was actually. Um,
yeah.
Bostock, obviously. What do you make of Bostock? I mean, what did they ruin their season? What went wrong for them? Is it too late for them to get back in? Do you think?
Well, I've actually had a very brief conversation with Scott over the course of the week, and he was saying himself that he takes full responsibility for the position they find themselves in. I was very critical early doors of them sort of messing about with tactics and stuff, and he said himself that he kind of threw away the season unintentionally, but to almost petulantly prove a point. He's proven since he's gone back to the more tried and tested what they are capable of. And generally speaking, a draw with Fulchester home or away is a very good result. So they are still capable, but I think he said that they have to win every game bar one to stand any chance of making a playoff place at this stage. So he, although he probably won't say it himself publicly, he probably thinks that they're just about out of it now.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. Someone who isn't out of it, Astor, obviously under the guidance of Mr. Potato Mourinho, into seventh. I think it was a late winner, wasn't it? Late-ish, 77 minutes for them against Churchtown, who under the under the guidance of the managerial duo of Mr. Collins and Mr. Dimble have they've struggled a little bit, haven't they? And Astor haven't been brilliant either. But at least it looks as if Astor still in with a shout of making the playoffs. Churchtown, their season is over, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's as me and you both know, it's difficult when you're at the bottom and in a rut. I think Dimble's had a couple of decent results. I even think Kieran may have got one or two decent results in recent weeks, but they were so far behind it was going to take a monumental effort. And I think it's just about planning whatever the idea is for next year for them.
Mm,
Um, which players they want to keep, who they see as being able to take the team forward, so they don't have another season like this. And
mm.
as you say, I believe that was Tato's first win in the Super League. So congratulations to him. It's good to get that monkey off your back, so to speak. And yeah, nicely positioned in seventh, gives him every chance now if he could get a bit of momentum of cementing a playoff place.
Yeah, definitely a good time to start picking up a bit of form here with 6 or 7 games to how many have we got to play? 7, I think it is 6 or 7 either way. Um, And yeah, talking about teams for who the season is potentially over, Dudley, they're down in 14th. They lost 2-0 at home to Leddersford. It's not getting any easier for them. As you mentioned there, you know what it's like, and you got to be thinking that Steve's going to look to next season and see if he can get off to a slightly better start and maybe just progress. I mean, uh, there's been bad luck, but there's also questions about whether Freddie Ljungberg is is a legitimate player to put into your starting 11. And for Leddersford, Ronaldinho's starting to score, and I mean he's had a decent start. Um, Dudley, season is done. Leddersford, can they make it into the playoffs? What do you think on both counts?
Leddersford, you never ever write off a Hodgie side until it's mathematically impossible. You will always think they will make it. And as you say, Ronaldinho hitting form. It was always the risk of me losing him that he would do that, and it's clearly working out better for Hodgie than it is me at the moment. But again, that's the risk you take. Dudley, I don't want to spend too much time being overly critical of Steve. We all know how much he's involved within the game, how much he loves the game, how much he studies the game. Um, it will come good for him. Maybe not this year, but I know very much like me in a certain way, he's quite naturally emotional when it comes to it as well. So although he'll post certain stuff online, there's other stuff that goes on WhatsApp, and it's a delicate balance whether he's very angry or very upset, depending on the nature of the result. But there's not been much joy for Dudley in recent weeks, and of course across the season, unlike who are now 2-0 up.
Yeah, well, we'll see if we'll see if that improves. It's there's always a chance of finishing on a high and getting a few good results out of the last handful of games or so. So we'll see how that goes. Yourselves, I guess the less said about that, the better. 3-0. You're never going to be that happy with a result like that, are you?
we, we've just been fundamentally fucking awful for months now. I don't think we've been good since about game week 6 or 7. We've had maybe 1, 2 wins in that time, but we've had so many losses. We've conceded so many goals. In most games, we've hardly created anything, and in that particular instance, fair play to Ian. You know, there was a lot of critique of his side that was he really the right man for it? They looked a different animal under Tato when he was caretaker, and he's done all right since he's come back. And you know, everyone still seems to put Devils on this pedestal about being this great squad. And if you're going to go and beat such a great squad 3-0, you can't be half bad yourself.
Yeah, I mean it was obviously a bit of a turnaround for the Haggis hunters there. As you mentioned, results have not been like very sort of like stable for you guys. I mean, still in fifth, so still in with a shout. I mean, better shout than the Haggis hunters anyways. But they're much like Bostock Stanley. They perhaps fancy themselves theoretically speaking. Um,
Our season rests on tonight's game. It really does.
Well, we'll see what tonight will bring. Just a reminder to people to don't give spoilers for the football because apparently the ITV hub has a delay. I don't know what the ITV hub is, but I presume it's something that's causing a delay. So no spoilers, please. The last 3 games, Lokomotiv Boston against Hull's Vikings. Hools were looking very, very promising early on the season. It's just not really worked out for them a little bit. I mean, actually, a lot worse than yourselves, but just no real stability in that Hool side. And Lokomotiv Boston just looking to do what they do and just get there with, you know, draws or by hook or by crook. You know what I mean? They're going to scrape in, aren't they?
I said last week that Jens's team remind me a lot of the Devils team in that they are so good but consistently inconsistent. A draw a draw against defending champions, you would argue, isn't a terrible result, but
Hmm.
it's at the stage of the season where if they're to fulfill their potential, they need to be winning games. So he'll look at that in a negative fashion. Whereas Boston, they've been a difficult side to judge really this year. They said they were going to change their style. It looked like it was going to work. Then it didn't look like it was going to work. So they reverted back to tight. That looked like it was going to work, but then the odd random result keeps coming in. You look at, even we beat them 5-1 just 2 games ago,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
where did it come from? That's not a locomotive type of result. So you would imagine they're still going to make the top 6, but you wouldn't put your house on them at this stage.
Yeah, I mean they still have obviously plenty of games to play. What Churchtown, Burn, Dudley Hill, and the Sloths at home, and then Haggis, Bostock, and Gazelles away. It's not the easiest, but it's also not the most challenging of run-ins. I mean, an interesting one the last game against Spartak Sloths there, if Sloths stay in there. But yeah, they look obviously on course for making it. Northern Burn could be on course for making the playoffs as well. I mean, I and Robben had a very good game there. An assist and a 10, and the rest of the guys did a good job for Ian there as well. 4-2 against the Gazelles. Do you fancy Northern Burn to make the playoffs?
I said after they beat us a few weeks back that this was going to be their year. It's about time that they came to the party without going over old ground too much. We've said for 3 or 4 seasons now that whichever team Ian's been in charge of should be making it. So it's nice to see that it looks like this is finally going to be their year.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me at this stage if they were the team to win it, because they're kind of, although people are noticing them, they're kind of going under the radar. They're still not the team people are talking about. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were able to go and win it. As for Gazelles, it's very similar to last year, where you kind of think every week they've had a bad result, but even now they're sat in 8th. You can see them on the last day of the season again, sneaking a 5th or 6th spot. If they just keep themselves in it, you kind of think they'll make it.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 points in it for them. It's maybe interesting to look at the table here. So what we've said in the past is that normally you'd need like say like what 30, 38, 39, 40, 40 usually what Palmer says, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and some of these teams here, I mean, there's 7 games to go, and you only need to pick up another 3, maybe 4 wins in 7 games. I mean, it's definitely not impossible for a lot of teams in this particular area here with 21 points still to play for. Um, y- I
Alternative,
mean, it's it.
alternative, you look at that and you say 3 or 4 wins from 7, but if you take Devils as an example, we've only managed 8 wins in 19.
Well, that is true. Actually, it isn't many teams that manage a game every other game, a win every other game. So maybe the points total will be lower. Who knows? We will see. Um, just gonna say good evening to Duggan and to Champ Swan and to David who's joined as well. Um, the what was going to say the 2 teams that definitely looks as if they are going to be odds on for a playoff spot met in the last game. So it was Sloths against the Dragons, and people were probably questioning whether the Dragons could hold on and could keep delivering the goods, especially away to Sloths that have been so free scoring. But as we saw when Sloths played Bostock, I think it was, there were not that many goals in this one, and ultimately Dragons picked up the win. They're back with the winner in not in injury time, but near the end. And Sloths not as efficient as they have been.
These have been probably my 2 favourite teams to watch this season. I mean, you were saying about the Dragons there. I've not been one to question if they could do it. I've said all along that the transfer business they did significantly improve them. And, despite the questions that they were throwing at themselves, Back and Constantinu have contributed well to scoring the goals to deservedly put them top of the table. Sloths, as you say, have been a goal scoring machine. They've been so fun to watch. Unfortunately for them, last week it wasn't their day. But if they performed exactly the same again against any other team this week, you could see them scoring 3 or 4 goals. It's just the kind of team they are.
Mm, mm.
Both of these are definites for the playoffs.
Yeah, well, and you'll be playing the Dragons tonight. We'll have a look at the fixtures here as they are. Ryan's had the calculator out and says 39.5 points needed at the going rate for 6 spots. So we'll see how that ends up. And Potato Mourinho has finished his childcare duty, so we can run according to the schedule. You're up fourth anyway, Tato, so don't worry about it. We've got Fulchester against Spartak Sloths. We've got Gazelles against Dudley. Hull's Vikings against the Haggis Hunters, Leddersford against Astor, Boston taking on Churchtown Burn against Bostock Stanley, and finally the Devils against the Dragons. Means I need to win 7 from 7, Ryan, says Chris Mack. I'm not
A,
sure.
a lot of good games tonight. There should be a real good entertainment value from this, I think.
Yeah, Scott says he's here steaming. What have I missed? You haven't missed much, Scott. You're up in about an hour and a half, so I hope you can I hope you can stay awake for that. But anyway, we'll kick off the action with Fulchester against Spartak Sloths. So let's see if you can pick up your first win here, Maka. If it's wins you're counting, Rob's in attendance as well. So let's see how it goes as the Sloths take on Fulchester. First up, we've got Spartak Sloths squad here. No injuries to speak of. Well, none at all actually. And this is how they line up. I think Albertini come in. I can't remember exactly what the changes are for him. I think he brought on Ebesand. I think that was one of them. There could be another one, but I've sadly left my phone charging somewhere, so I can't double check. I should probably go and get that so I could check the squads. You can enlighten the you can enlighten the folk what you think about the of the Sloth squad in the meantime, Fifey. I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, no worries, pal. What I like about Sloths is that they don't overreact. I mean, it's something I'm guilty of all the time. Generally, when I lose, it'll be like, right, well, the formation isn't working; it's got to change. But Sloths, they have one way of playing. It's the all-out attack. You score 6, we'll score 7 approach, and so he hasn't changed it. And as I said earlier, if they continue to play the way they did, even against Dragons, they will win more than they lose. So Guerrero. Obviously, everyone looks at, say, Roberto and arguably Vieri, but Guerrero for me has been superb. He'll be very much a contender in the Player of the Season conversation for me. And I think he's probably the underrated member of the squad. You still don't look at them and think, you don't automatically think, I should say, that this is a title winning Super League squad. But equally, when you consider how they play, it wouldn't surprise you if they did go and do it.
I mean, they're definitely getting the most out of some of the players, and some of them are putting in some spectacular performances. Marcel Desailly, obviously one of them, and Christian Vieri has been amazing since he's joined as well. So I mean, they definitely have to be in the conversation, especially considering some of the results that they've been able to put up. Some of the very very big wins. Obviously, not won all of their games, but no one has. They
And
do
one
have they do have a couple of tricky away games. I mean, they've got yourselves, they've got Fulchester before they take on Leddersford and the Vikings. So it'll be quite important to see what they can pick up from those 2 games. And obviously, first up, they've got Fulchester. Oh, predictions in the chat, by the way, if you would like. Um, Still suffering with it with Comandini. I think Comandini came in. He had found a ton of form, but obviously picked up an injury, and that's put a bit of a dampener on the mood in the C-suite over at the Fulchester camp. What do you make of Fulchester? I think they're unchanged if I haven't made any mistakes, which I don't think I have.
Well, every time I come on, I'm full of praise for Maka and whatever team he assembles. Another manager with a clear identity of how he wants his team to play. Um, I know that you're right. Comandini's injury is having an effect. He's not entirely convinced by Owen. He's not entirely convinced by Sutton. So that's an area of concern for him. But Fulchester are a very difficult team to get a result against. So you mentioned Sloths. They had Dragons. They now got Fulchester, and then they've got us. It's a crucial 3 games for them. And having lost to Dragons, they will be looking at this thinking they need to win, really. But it's a very good squad, and a squad that I don't think will finish 6th as they are now. I very much think they'll be looking up rather than down.
Well, I can tell you that the predictions that have come in, obviously Maka playing down his own chances, thinking he's going to lose 3-1. Lee Dimple says a 2-0 home win. Ian Edwards goes with a 1-1 draw. Dan Megahorse says a 2-2 draw. Someone else said a Desmond. Oh, Mr. Campbell. Greaves says 0-0, but I think he says that to everything. And Duggan 2-1 home win. Where's your money on this one, Fifey? Fulchester or Sloths?
Because they're at home, I'm going to go Fulchester. And because of that, it will be narrow, so I'll say 2-1.
2-1 win for Fulchester. Let's kick this one off and see what happens as they take on the Sloths, who obviously almost deserve a win for their spectacular video game, social media game, and video posted on social media earlier today. But let's see if that particular activity pays dividends. Fulchester start off the game here with a couple of good chances. 15 minutes played already, not had any real goal mouth action to speak of yet. Sloths are coming forward though, and it's Vieri, his 10th goal of the season in just 11 games. He has been absolutely lethal, apart from that last time, the last game that they played, where he didn't really live up to expectations. But he's back in the goals here. Yellow card for Salihamidzic, though, that could be difficult for them in the second half if he continues to be put under pressure. I think he's up against Giggs on that flank, isn't he? Couple of attempts for Fulchester, but not really been looking that dangerous. Buffon with a good save there, and it stays 1-0 for the Sloths coming up until half time. Fairly even, perhaps slightly in Sloth's favour. Let's have a look at the. Oh no, I mean in terms of it's very even in terms of possession. It's been pretty much all Fulchester, but Sloths have been quite cynical there. Christian Vieri. Anything that surprised you in that first half, Fifey?
Just that Fulchester didn't manage to get more of their shots on target. They're normally quite efficient in front of goal. It wouldn't surprise me if Marcus says swap Owen for Sutton at half time. I think he was alluding to that earlier on in Twitter chat. But again, it doesn't surprise me because of it being Fulchester, but Sloths are the sort of side you expect to create more. So where Fulchester are efficient, Sloths are dynamic. So they might, create 10 chances and have 5-6 on target kind of thing. Fulchester, you expect them to have maybe 4 with 4 on target kind of thing. So that's probably what surprised me most, their inefficiency in front of goal tonight. But still 45 minutes to go. I'm sure they can turn that around.
Yeah, I mean they were at least they were creating a little bit. Ebisand obviously coming in for Tomadera, and he's the one who gets the assists and put the Sloths in a good position. Christian Vieri putting the ball away. He's on an 8 already, so it's a good start for him. Rob says he's going to go unchanged. We'll have a look at the Fulchester. Bobo Balde already dominating at the back. He's on a 9, but they're not able to keep Vieri out. They are obviously 3 strikers up against the 2 defenders. His attacking options, we mentioned there, Comandini's injured. Do you think Maka should do anything here? Is it time for Chris Sutton? Is that I'm not sure when Chris Sutton is ever the answer, but would you consider that if you were the Fulchester manager?
It depends on obviously what instructions he's playing, but Owen's been largely ineffective looking at that. I mean, he's only had one of the 4 shots. It may be better suited to Sutton playing up front on his own. Again, depending on the instructions. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's what he opts to do.
Yeah, he's going to say stay as is actually. Well, we'll stay as is then, Maka, and we'll kick off the second half and see if you can find way back into this. Obviously, Comandini being a bit of a miss, but Fulchester have found goals without him in the past. They did score two away at Bostock last week, so let's see what happens in the second half. Um, it's a decent start for Fulchester. They had a couple of actions again. I don't know if that was just possession related or if they actually had a shot on target. Veron coming forward there, having a bit of a go. Ryan Giggs was involved as well. Another yellow card for the Sloths. They can pick up reds. We have seen them in the past, but we don't have the most aggressive referee in charge of this one. Just 5 minutes to play now. It's Stefan Henshaw picking up an injury there. Right, if I can just say one thing, if anyone mentions the whole kneeing and booing thing in the chat, then we just stop the show. That's not what we're here for. I have nothing else to say on that matter, and neither have you. If you want this to continue, please, thank you. And Rob says Gabriel Milito comes on for Henshaw, so we'll just do that. So apologies for that brief intermission there. I just want to make that clear. Right, last 5 minutes, Spartak Sloths. Let's see if Fulchester can find a way back into this. Oh, the speed went up again. I do apologize. 3 minutes added. Here comes Giggs, Gamara. Giggs unable to control the ball. They are trying their best. And it's Ebisan that comes forward. Last ditch tackle there from Fulchester. It's actually Sloths that look more like they would get the second. Last chance maybe for Fulchester here. Scholes coming forward. David Prutton with a fierce shot. David Prutton of all people.
That's an incredible defensive effort from Sloths there.
Hanging on there, hanging on right at the end there. I mean, Fulchester, as you mentioned there at halftime, 5 feet are ineffective, and that didn't really improve in the second half from a Fulchester perspective. Possession still mostly on Fulchester. They just didn't really know what to do with it.
No, and it surprises you how much you sort of take automatically, because it looked like there were a lot more chances created than those stats just suggested. But yeah, it carried on. Michael Owen, his six didn't improve. He was the only one to score a six or below. I think Macca might be ruined the fact he didn't bring on Sutton. Again, he still only had one shot by the end of the game, so clearly the midfielders just took it upon themselves to be shooting from distance. It would appear like.
Yeah, not the most effective way of finishing. I mean, Michael Owen just with the one post goals, who can get goals from behind, obviously, not with any shots on target at all. So a little bit disappointing from Fulchester there. Maka did say he was a little bit worried about that game going into it, and it's proven to be the case. Sloss, on the other hand, Christian Vieri, what a signing he's turned out to be. I think Bostock's maybe gotten a bit of the kind of like short end of the stick, or however you want to call it, with David Collins picking up the injuries. But it's been a good result for Sloths in terms of that deal, hasn't it? By bringing in Christian Vieri, who's now on 10 goals in just 11 games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both managers were quite optimistic with how it had been, but you're right, the injury has affected Bostock. Vieri is proving to be the caliber player everyone knows he can be now, and that's full credit to Rob for bringing that out of him. But again, as I said at full time, very impressive defensive display from Sloths there, and another sort of what's the phrase I'm looking for? Another sort of boost to what it is that they're trying to achieve this year.
Yeah, and I mean, as mentioned there, I was questioning in the initial stream posting whether they would whether the Dragons would open up a gap, but we can safely say that even the gap's not going to get any larger with Sloss picking up the win here, and a good performance for them. Christian Vieri especially, obviously impressing here. Right, a good start to the evening. Not the most goals, but a fairly interesting and an even match there. We move on. We have got Gazelles coming up against Dudley Hill, and we have a look at the Gazelles line up first. If I can figure out how to do this, Mr. Craig. He's got Patrick Kluivert injured. He's got Jens Jeremy's out suspended. Rio Ferdinand is unhappy for whatever reason. So is Figo. Less of a surprise. Can you call it a surprise? I don't know. With Kluivert out, he's going to go for Big John Carew up top. What do you make of that selection for the Gazelles?
Clivert's obviously a massive loss. There's no question about that. What's interesting, and I might be wrong, but I thought Raul was actually doing okay as the left forward earlier in the season. So it surprised me that he's the one that's been withdrawn to sort of the AM role. Carew, I know, was it Ryan who always sort of says people should play him? He becomes an absolute monster. I think it might be Ryan.
It could have been. It wasn't me. I could tell you that much. But I mean, he's got half decent stats. A bit
Yeah.
Luca Toni-esque in real life, but not sure how he performs on the game. You don't usually see much of him, I don't think.
But it should be, quite interesting. Obviously, we know you look at the defensive portion of the pitch, and it's just star name after star name. Everyone obviously comments on how Seedorf is one of those players in the Zidane ilk, if you like, who has all the stats but none of the performances. So crucial for him in that centre midfield role on his own.
Mm.
But yeah, you do think that the Gazelles don't look as good without Clivert being up top.
Yeah, it obviously looks a little bit. I mean, any side without Patrick Kluivert is going to look a little bit weaker. Potato Mourinho here says he's the man with the worst tattoo in history as well on his neck. He clearly hasn't heard of. I can't remember what's his name again. There was a striker, Danish one, who had two like guns tattooed, like kind of actually pointing down towards his sort of like balls or whatever. It was very bizarre, very very bizarre. But anyway,
With Bentner.
I don't think it was Bentner. Or was it? I don't know. It was someone anyway. Ryan says it wasn't him who who sang John Carew's praises. We'll see what he can do tonight. He's up against Dudley Hill. There's already a bit of love for Dudley in the comments there. Let's have a look at their lineup for tonight. It's a narrow formation for Dudley Hill. So we don't have to worry about Freddie Lundberg on a fullback, but he is on an AMC role instead. Maybe that's slightly better suited for him. Steve Finnan comes back as well, so Gino is in there. A little bit reminiscent, perhaps, of a Valen formation, but not quite. What do you make of Dudley and Crespo alone up top? I mean, I think a lot of people were asking for that.
Yeah, although I do think it's a bit harsh on Luca Toni, who is seemingly the only player trying to score some goals in what has been a very poor period for Dudley. It's a nice looking formation. It's one you can see maybe doing a few bits here and there. Personally, I'm a little bit disappointed only because Steve said after this long tiresome run he's had, he was going to go like balls out. He was going to go full caution to the wind. I was kind of hoping to see, I don't know, a one at the back, three up top, something absolutely maverick. Because as you say, his season's essentially over, so it's all about doing something new. But it's a bit more conventional. There's players I like in their proper positions. I still don't think it's necessarily his strongest team, but they do look, they do look the sort of team and the sort of setup that could get something here. I mean, we were commenting how Gazelles don't look as good attackingly, and
Mm-hmm.
when you've got someone like Tomazi, Ayala, who I like at centre back as well,
Yeah.
they're going to be capable of defending. I suppose it's as much to do with their morale as anything at this point.
Uh, Steve said that he did try something spectacular last time against the Gazelles, and we all know what happened then. So he's obviously a little bit concerned about that. But I think, I mean, a solid enough lineup looks a little bit like what Alpha sometime put up with as well, and that's usually been sort of relatively solid defensively as well. Something about menstruation and things like that, I'm not entirely sure. Oh, it's John Carew's John Carew had a tattoo that meant something else apparently. David said he'd seen John Carew a few times at Villa. He stands out. He's massive. I'm not surprised. I'm not sure if he stood out in terms of quality as well, but you definitely notice him. Predictions for this one. I think someone said something already. Wooder says he's back in Dudley here. Are you going with Wooder and back in Dudley in this one, Fifey, or are you going to be a little bit more conservative and stick with the home side?
I'm going to say it'll be a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Dan Megahorse says 5-2. There's going to be goals in this one, apparently. Yeah, well, I mean, Gazelles, if Big John Carew and Castillo can get in amongst it, then obviously they could get some goals. Ian Edwards says a 3-1 home win. Interesting that people are seeing a lot of goals in this one. David goes for a 2-1 away win. Hard to back us at all for anyone, says Steve himself. So, well, we'll see. We'll see, Steve. We'll see how it goes. At the special Superdrome, well, Dimple goes for a 1-0 away win as well at the special Superdrome. Let's kick it off and see what happens as the Gazelle takes on Dudley Hill.
Dudley's colours are very reminiscent of the Ukraine kit.
True. Let's see if they can. I was going to say, let's see if there's a map of Crimea on it. 20 minutes in, it's not been hugely exciting so far. Dudley Hill's been okay in it, I think. Tomas is doing a good job at keeping the Gazelles at bay, but they are coming down the flanks. I've seen Cafu's name a couple of times. He's obviously got space with the narrow formation that Dudley are playing. Oof, Dudley creating some chances here coming up to halftime. Amoroso getting in there as well. Chiotis in goal, working wonders for Dudley Hill to keep them in it. Map of Bradford, yeah. Maybe there's a map of Bradford instead of an outline of of Ukraine, including the Crimea. I mean, they're definitely not out of it. It's one of the more solid Dudley performances of recent weeks. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, without question. I thought looking at the text, they were playing quite well, and the stats back it up. They're just not taking their chances. Very reminiscent of the previous game and what I was saying about Fulchester.
Yeah, they would definitely definitely need to do that. I mentioned there David or Damiano rather. Tomasi has been good. I saw him popping up with a lot of good defensive actions. He's obviously winning a bunch of tackles there in the center of the park. Second half needs a lot of goals, says Dan Megahorse. Yep, for the 5-2 prediction to come true, they will need 7. Freddie Lundberg still sitting on a 6, not doing particularly well. Crespo not firing completely on his own up top. Rafael van der Vaart maybe could do a little bit better. Room for improvement here for Dudley Hill. Do you see Fulchester couldn't pick up the kind of scoring activities in the second half? Do you see Dudley maybe getting improving in the second half? Crespo, could he do something maybe?
Well, I was just considering what I've done when I've played the 3 behind the 1 in the past, and I'm wondering whether Steve might consider dropping Crespo back to where Ljungberg is and putting Tony up front and playing both of them potentially.
I mean, it could work. I mean, we've seen Thierry Henry work wonders for Northern Burn in pretty much the exact same position. That one just to the side of the lone striker. So we'll see what Steve says here if he's going to make any if he's got any changes to make in terms of exactly that 5 here. Right. Well, we're going to go with that then. So he's listening. I mean, you can't have this. Unless you want Nicky Barmby in, of course.
No, this is the other thing. If you're going to take Ljungberg off, you don't bring Barnby on because we're just replacing a turd with a turd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not exactly going to improve anything. Let's have a look at the Gazelles and how they did in the first half. Big John getting a 7. They've not had many passes, but you can't really see. I mean, they just need to pull themselves together, don't they? Really.
I mean, similarly, if I was looking at it myself, I would maybe consider putting Raul back up front and maybe Agahauer for Castillo potentially, or even bring Balak on and move Sador further forward as well. And you're also looking at it thinking is Battaglia in danger of getting sent off because he's known to like a tackle.
Yeah, he's a bit of a looks like a bit of a loose cannon there. Yeah, well, we'll see what they come up with in the second half. The players here, what they can do for Craig in terms of getting the result. They've obviously had the 3 shots. They've all been on target, but Kiotis has been more than a match to them so far. We'll kick off the second half, and we'll see if Dudley's substitution will bring the results that Steve so desperately wants or needs. Let's have a look as we kick off the second half.
I think this result's crucial for both teams, to be fair.
Sorry?
I was just saying, I think the result in this game is crucial for both teams.
Oh, it's Ayala with the opener for Dudley Hill, the away side, taking the lead here against the Gazelles, but Castillo equalises. I was going to say both teams have actually been looking a lot more dangerous in the second half. 20 odd minutes to go, and it's Finnan who puts Dudley Hill back in front. Steve's not going to believe this, is he? Considering the run that they have been on, it looks as if they could be heading for a win here. He's not going to be pleased when I lower the speed with just a couple of minutes to go. DD coming forward here, but it's Serginho who clears it. 5 minutes to go and a little bit of added time. Crespo involved there again, but it's Raul with a fantastic finish, but didn't find the goal. Oh, it looks as if they could hold on, and there goes the final whistle. And Dudley Hill have a famous away victory at Gazelles. 2-1 winners after a not very efficient second half, but they managed to get the goals. What do you make of that second half performance for Dudley there?
Absolutely superb. No, there's nothing else that can be said. Gazelles are a very highly thought of team. Dudley have been very firmly in the mire for a number of weeks, and they've not only won but deservedly won. I mean, yes, you could question their on target ratio, but ultimately they've put in probably their best defensive performance of a number of weeks, and definitely the most creative performance, and a very crucial 3 points.
Yeah, it's well done, Steve. And I mean, fair enough. They dropped a bit of possession in the second half, but in terms of where the football was being played, it was majority in the middle of the park or even down at the Gazelles end, and less in the Dudley half. So let's see how the goals came about there for Dudley. Um, Serginho with a corner and Ayala with a header. Well, that's a combination that you would expect to see. Battaglia put the ball in the 6 yard box, and there was Castillo to take full advantage and equalize for the Gazelles. They were only in front for
So, I've just read how the Finnan goal's gone in as well, and I've been given this unfortunate title in Swemp of Sam Alafife, and both
ah
these goals have come from set pieces. So he is now Steve Allardyce, because that is outrageous.
yeah, 2 goals from set pieces, and it's Serginho, and who got the other one? Van der Vaart actually got it. So let's see the ratings here. Damiano Tomasi, absolutely key for Dudley. A man of the match performance, 10 tackles out of 15, 4 of them key. Completely, not completely shutting up shot, but definitely doing his best to keep the Gazelles away there. And Serginho and Rafael van der Vaart with the assist, as we mentioned there. Ayala picks up a yellow, but a solid performance from him at the back. And Steve Finnan comes back in. I think he was out for quite a long time with injury, wasn't he? 3 weeks. He had a sprained ankle after. Had he played much really?
Oh, Steve would have been playing him. He's his favourite player.
Yeah, I was gonna say he had actually played a fair bit. Winning goal came from the best player on the game, according to Steve Finnan. I mean, he's great to have because he's quite versatile. I mean, he can play up and down both the. He can play as a fullback and as a wide player as well. I think he's good on the flanks, isn't he?
That's
So
good. I
hmm?
was just saying his stats look particularly good there as well.
Yeah, he's developed well. In terms of Gazelles, I mean, Roy Keane did a decent job. I suppose just a little bit of creativity lacking there. Battaglia, their most creative player. That's never a good sign, is it? When your defensive midfielder has 2 key passes, and that's the most amongst the whole team. But no sixes, so no one really letting the side down as such. They just weren't really clinical enough in terms of their finishing. Um, I guess they're still in it, Gazelles, but the instability looks like it could cost them.
Yeah, the promising thing from their perspective is, one, all the other teams that are being equally inconsistent, myself included, and secondly, they do have Clivert to come back in. It's not like, again, if you liken it to the Devil situation, we've got Mpenza and we've got Montella, and we're still inconsistent. They've actually got their star man to come in and improve them.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it does turn out to be an improvement when he's back. Castillo obviously getting the goal there, so not a bad game for him. Um, moving on to the next game of the evening, we are heading to Norway for the Huls Vikings. I've not seen Jens around, so I'm not sure if he's watching the football or otherwise engaged. But we'll carry on regardless. We've got them up against the Haggis Hunters. If we go for the Vikings first, Ndiaye suspended, which is obviously a bit of an issue considering how brilliant he's been so far this season. Van Bommel takes his place. They're going to go with a Sloths-esque formation, and a few teams have actually gone for this formation recently. What do you make of Who's Vikings and the chances here? It looks as if he's going for it. I mean, they need the goals, don't they? They need results to start going their way. So Van Nistelrooy, Kutuzov, and Anelka up top.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the start that this night is season defining for Devils, but when you consider the two teams who are playing each other, you would almost go as far to say it's already last chance saloon for both of them. One of them needs to make their move, and it has to be at the expense of the other. So this game's crucial. And yeah, it's interesting to see Halls go for, like you say, a Sloths-esque formation. I mean, I might personally, if I was doing this, have considered playing Palermo up top as well. But other than that, I've whenever I come on, I'm always say a lot of positive stuff about Jens and about Halls, so I won't question it too much. And good luck to him.
Well, we'll see how it turns out for them. Obviously, I think he just wants more goals from his strikers, really, more than more than anything.
A lot of people have said in recent weeks how it's interesting that, as you say, Ndai's been getting excellent ratings, yet Halls haven't been doing anything. So it'll be interesting to see if someone will push them on with him not being there.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it works out for them. The Lindisfarne reunion is the Haggis Hunters tactic this evening. I don't think I've messed up the defensive lineup today. I think I had Simic or someone in last time out. They obviously had a good result last time out. Do you see them repeating that? It's away from home. They have been inconsistent. Shevchenko is still in an AMC role. I mean, we've seen it working out okay for Crespo, moving him back there. Mendieta still in there as the creative force. Patrick Vieira missing, I think, suspended. Key, obviously.
Yeah, very, very similar to the absence of Ndai. Vieira missing is key. Mendieta doing what we established last year was called the Barry Ferguson role with the diagonal arrow from defensive midfield. I actually quite like the three that they've got, but that he's got behind Salas. There is goals there. It's just between them, is there enough creativity as well, or are they all just goal scorers? So that'll be interesting. This should be quite a good game.
Should be, definitely. I was going to say Henrik Larsson, not seen much of him this season, but maybe that'll happen. Rosicky probably a bit the same. I mean, not bad, but just a little bit anonymous. But either way, both managers, or at least sorry, Ian has confirmed that the lineup is okay. Potato Mourinho goes for a 2-0 away win here. We'll see. It's the Haggis Hunters, lovely away kit. Steve Wright 2-1 home win. Fifey, where's your money on this one?
Well, you
Ryan
comment.
says, I was going to say game of the tournament so far, and I was like, what are you talking about? But I presume Ryan's referring to the to the Netherlands Ukraine game. He says game of the tournament. 2-1 for Ian Edwards. Sorry, Fifey, your prediction.
I was just gonna say you commented on the other game about the three up top against two at the back, and the fact that Haggis have Yap Stam, who has the ability to be incredible. I don't often go against Jens, but I'm going to say Haggis win 2-1.
Oh, brave prediction. Well, Ian Edwards agrees with you. Dan Megahorse goes for a home win here. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, let's see what Anelka can do. Have we seen Anelka? Has he scored? Has Anelka scored? Yeah, he
Uh,
did. He did get one. That's right. He did get one. That is right. Ryan goes away win as well. There's a lot of Haggis love. I don't know if that's because of the video that Rob put up, if that's affected the people's opinion. Wooder says a Hools win. Let's kick off the first half. We are already 55 minutes into the evening. Let's see what Hools can do here up against the Haggis Hunters. Maybe put the speed up as well. 1-1 says Dimble. 10 minutes in, and it's been fairly even so far. It's Shevchenko who opens the scoring for Haggis Hunters. That's going to be the new, looks like that's the new way to do it, to put your strikers in an AMC role, and then all of a sudden, if things turn out much better, here comes Mike Duff as well with a second goal for the Haggis Hunters. Probably best for Jens's health that he's actually doesn't look as if he's in the chat tonight, Jens. Maybe he's going to be quite pleased with missing this because it's not been pretty for them in the first half, and it looks as if Haggis Hunters are just going to continue to pile on that pressure. 2-0 at half time. And yep, that did not work out well for the Hools at all.
No, that's horrific viewing from Hools. That's single-handedly their worst half of football under Jens's stewardship, while equally probably being Ian's best half of football under his stewardship. I mean, Haggis were nothing short of phenomenal in that first half, really, and slightly unfortunate that it's not more.
Yeah, I mean, goalkeeper keeping them. I was going to say he keep them in it, but they're not really in it, are they at all? Almost 60% possession for the Haggis Hunters, and most of the football being played down the other end. Tato still at the wheel. Well, that's what they say. Duff passed the ball, something Rosicky, and then it was Duff with a free shot. Rosicky got the assist on that one. I mean, they're 2-0 up, they're dominating, and the stats are fucking garbage. Well, they're not fucking garbage, but considering this 9-6, 2-0 up, and you look at this, I mean, I'm not saying that they're playing badly because clearly they aren't, but I would have expected some nines in there already. Would you not say so?
Yeah, potentially. You can see how it's kind of coming about with Rosicky 7, Shevchenko 8, but Larsson in the middle only getting 6. Salas only got a 7. You'll probably be frustrated despite the abundance of quality that he's put out on the pitch. The guy that you've made the central striker is having just as many shots as everyone else, no more, and isn't even getting them on target.
Yeah, he's been chopping and changing, hasn't he? With Rossini, with Salas, he's had Shevchenko up there. It's just not really worked for him, regardless of which guy he's put up there. I mean, they've had their kind of the odd goal here and there, but nothing sort of consistent. He goes same again for the second half, so we'll leave it at that and see if Salas can find some form in the second half. Hools, on the other hand, I can't remember who it was. It was Steve who said that he would swap Sinoni and Van Bommel. Van Bommel has done a good job, but Sinone definitely hasn't felt at home in that kind of midfield role. And as you mentioned there, Jaap Stam, we should maybe just give him a bit of a mention there. 6-5-2 in terms of the tackles. He's definitely kept the front three very, very quiet so far. With Jens not being here, obviously, do you think the guys that he's got on the pitch, do you think they can turn it around in the second half? Do you expect a miracle from the Hools?
The only thing you can say is they can't be any bloody worse. That's for sure.
Well,
clearly, formation is one thing, instructions are another. Are they correct? Clearly not, looking at this performance. So, yes, you're right. It'll take something that resembles a miracle, but the quality is still out on the pitch to do it.
Yeah, the players are still there. We'll see. We'll see if Anelka turns up in the second half for the Hools as we kick this one off, or if Haggis Hunters just puts it away early on. It does look as if Hools are coming into it a little bit more. They've had a couple of chances, and it is Casillas in goal. He's not always the most stable goalkeeper, obviously down at the Haggis end, but I mean, it's a little bit, it's more even in the second half, but now it seems to be falling in Haggis Hunter's favours. And there is Rosicky coming from that AMC role, and he makes it 3 for the Haggis Hunters. And with only a couple of minutes left to play, I don't think there's any need to lower the speed. And indeed, Rosicky makes it 4. Complete collapse, unfortunately, for the Hools here in the second half. Didn't expect Rosicky to pick up a brace in the second half and him be the guy grabbing the headlines, but I mean, you said it couldn't get much worse. It didn't get much better either for the Vikings.
No, and what I was alluding to at the start of the game was it's all about momentum, and Haggis are clearly the team with momentum. I think Jens will be resigning himself to the fact after that they're not going to make it this year, whereas Ian will still firmly believe the run that they're currently putting themselves into, that he can climb up the table and get into that top six.
Yeah, I see Mr. Campbell say, "Can you see us coming?" I don't know if he's talking metaphorically or if he's been exchanging video messages with someone again. I appreciate that one of his hobbies, obviously. We'll see how the goals came about in the second half here. Maybe we should ask the fine young lady in the video that Rob posted earlier. It was Costanza could not gather the ball cleanly. Oh, it was Rosicky following up on his own shot actually, and what was the other one? Oh, Salas did get an assist here. Well, here are the numbers that I was looking for. That's much better for for the Haggis Hunters, isn't it? There's a couple of tens in there. Mike Duff with a 10, Rosicky with a 10 as well. He's going to take that all day long, isn't he?
Yeah, but you still question, when you've been that dominant, how Henrik Larsson is so ineffective and not influential at all.
Yeah, perhaps a bit of a waste of a position. He could maybe put him somewhere else. Maybe that's something to consider. But everything else seems to be. But then again, do you upset other areas in the pitch if you start moving players about?
Well, I had, to be fair, last year I had exactly the same thing when I was playing Ronaldinho in the middle of the three. I moved him out to the right and put Kuhl in the middle of the three, and suddenly they both started posting numbers. So it might purely be his position. He might be fine in the three, just it's in the wrong place of the three, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's strange because that's normally where you get the most out of him centrally in that. But yeah, definitely it could be just a question of maybe swapping them around. But with Shevchenko getting a a goal and with Rosicky getting an assist and 2 goals, there's obviously not going to be much room for swapping. But we'll see, we'll see. Larsson can get sixes every week if we're winning 4 sips, says Campbell, and that's absolutely correct. Of course, you would take that all day long. Um, yeah, I mean, I suppose we don't. There's no real point in dwelling on it. Senoni didn't really work in the center of midfield there. He was obviously missing NDI quite a lot. Van Nistelrooy and Kutuzov getting sixes, Anelka getting a 7. I'm not entirely sure what's justifying that, but just a bad day in the office for the Vikings for Hools, wasn't it?
What's actually interesting, considering they lost 4-0, is that there's no fives. So there was clearly some shoots of promise, if you like, throughout the squad. There's definitely a challenging squad in there. It's just not happening at the moment, and sometimes that happens. I'm sure they'll be back in no time.
Yeah, I mean, with Sol Campbell with more tackles than he has as many one tackles as he has attempted passes, which is yeah, which is an interesting stat anyway. But we'll let Jens ponder further on that and see what he can come up with as a response. Moving on for the evening, we've got Leddersford coming up against Astor. Potato Mourinho is sorting out his childcare situation, so he is here to give instructions. Not seen Hodgie about, but he definitely could be popping up from behind a bush or something. Let's first of all find the right team. So we go with Leddersford first. They've got Estebaria out injured. Apart from that, they've got pretty much everyone available. I've been in the swimming pool, says Scott. What have I missed? You've not missed much, Scott. Couple of results. You've still got a half an hour to go at least before you're playing, and Hodgie is here. Evening, Hodgie. Best body in the series has Willie. Oh, they're talking about the Simpsons thing. This is the Leddersford lineup. Hansjörg Butt in goal. Lee Chun So starts up top. What do you make of that? What do you make of Lee Chun So as the lone striker?
He's not the obvious choice, but he is a player that has previous Super League pedigree. I think Butt has been decent all season, to be fair to him. Maldini and Ekiog are obviously two exceptionally good defenders. Ambrosini, as I say, every time it comes up in conversation, is a player I like. Patzoglu in centre midfield has been a revelation since Hodgie put in there last year, I think. And as you alluded to at the start, Ronaldinho's getting numbers now. So as I said with Haggis in the last game, Leddersford pick up a bit of momentum, and the teams above them are in trouble.
We'll see what Ricardo Gardner can cop up. He's a guy that's putting up some numbers here. 760 average. Ricardo Gardner didn't see that one coming. I guess at the start of the season that he was going to play a pivotal role in Leddersford change of fortunes here. And we'll see what he can do tonight. Obviously, so yeah, a fairly decent and balanced squad, and obviously a 2-0 win last time out. I guess Hasselbank, Brooking, Torres, Morientes, they're just they're just gonna have to wait their turn, and we'll see what Lee Chun So can do. All eyes on Gardner, says Wooder. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Down the other end of the pitch, Astra Athletic are warming up. Kevin Hoffland out injured, Adolfo out injured. In terms of tactics, this is what it's looking like. So he's got Southgate and Hippier, Foe and Kalushny in front of them. And he goes with 3 AMCs as well. There's lots of teams with 3 AMCs at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's proven to work. So everyone will try and do their version of whatever works. It's, if you look at the defensive portion, it's very similar to what Fulchester do because they're very good defensive side. Not many people play with 2 wingers as such. So this is Tato's little tweak on it. I know it's hurting him to be fully relying on Robbie Fowler. He won't be liking that. Matt Holland, who, if I remember rightly, he was a bit of a joke, wasn't he, Matty Holland? But then he suddenly started getting really good numbers for Ralph. So interesting that he's the one that's been reduced to the subs bench. Foe, another defensive midfielder who I think goes under the radar. I think he's very good. It's a decent looking Astor team, that.
2-2 at the back getting torn, says Wooder. Natalie Imbruglia. Okay, a song reference, yeah. Brilliant. Scott asked what he's missed. What has Scott missed? He missed Fulchester losing 1-0 at home to Sloths. Then he missed Haggis 4-0 away at Hools. And what was the second game? It was Dudley beating Gazelles away, wasn't it? Yeah. So 2-1 win for Dudley away to Gazelles. Gotta love Fowler up top. I do not, Ryan. Right, okay. Well, that's your only option, Mr. Mourinho, and you have chosen the lineup. So if you don't like him, then it's on you. 2-2 at the back getting torn, says Wooder. Anything getting torn in this one? Do you think, Fifey?
Well, you know how I struggle to support anyone who wears yellow and blue, but
true.
I'm going to have to go. I'm reluctantly going to have to go for a Leddersford win here, and I will say they will win. It was going to be 3-0, but I've not seen Chunso up front on his own before, so I don't know how that's going to work. So I'm going to say 2-1.
2-1. Same as Duggan. Chat Mega Horse goes for a 2-1 away win. Ian Edwards says 3-2 away win. Dimble goes for a 3-1 home win. We'll see. Leddersford taking on Astor. David Wright says 1-1. Wooder says 4-0. Let's see. Let's hope there's goals in this one. We have had goals so far, obviously, but we can always use more. Let's have a look. I mean, if we are competing with that Netherlands-Ukraine game,
I don't remember seeing Greg Leviton's name before. We got a new referee because the standard of all the others is so
who knows? But Greg Leviton has obviously allowed Lee Chun So to put Leddersford in front there, 14 minutes in, and there's Lee Chun So with the second. Scott will be delighted with this outcome, not just because he's a Leddersford supporter, which I don't know if he is really, but he does like Lee Chun So, and Mark Vivian Foe brings up the he reduces the deficit, I think is the phrase I'm looking for, just before half time. I mean, it's been, to be honest, I didn't think that Astor had 7 shots.
I was going to say, that first half flew by so quickly. I did not see it having that amount of attacking intent from both teams.
Yeah, I mean, it was quick. I think so too. It was very quick. 50-50 in terms of position. Most of the play in the middle of the park. Let's see how the goals came around. Naughty time to concede, says Hodgie. Yep. 2-0. 2-1 is obviously the most dangerous lead, as we all know. Ronaldinho with the assist for Lee Chun-so there for the first, for the opener. Ronaldinho with the assist for the second as well. That's a good partnership. That's coming up there. And then a corner kick, Rui Costa swinging that one in for Mark Vivian Foe to put Potato Mourinho on the board, his Astra Athletic side.
From what I recall of Mark Vivian Foe, he wasn't the tallest. So who the hell was marking him from that corner?
Yeah, well, you never know. With the amount of headers that we see in the Super League, I think it's more in terms of the quality of the dead balls. But it happens. I mean, even Samorano scored many goals with his head, and he wasn't that tall at all. Astor exposed at the back. Were they exposed at the back? What do you reckon to that first half performance there? Fowler on a 6, Southgate on a 6, and Pavel Nedved on a 6 as well.
Clearly the stats show it wasn't awful from an Astor perspective, but the quality of Leddersford, I think, is the difference here. You would say on paper, and we always, say that it's not played on paper, but they do pound for pound. Leddersford would be the stronger 11,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's purely the difference here is the quality on show.
Quality of players. Well, he's trying to make up for it by bringing on Placenta and Alan Shearer for the second half. We'll have a look at Leddersford and how they've been performing. Obviously, Ronaldinho has done quite well. 4 key passes in the first half, 2 of them obviously assists. Lee Chun-so with the 2 goals. He's been a bit quiet, but he's probably not been given much of a chance with those 2 stealing all the glory. Evan Nilsson's not done particularly well either. Ricardo Gardner, who I think someone called out earlier, or said it was a big night for Gardner. Well, he's on an 8. We'll see if Hodgie wants to do something in terms of substitutions. He has got he's not really got a bunch. Patsatsoglu is not doing particularly well. Hodgie says same, please. Anything you would have done here? You've got Lee Young Pyo, Morientes, and Vogel on the bench potentially to bring on, or I mean, you're 2-1 up at halftime and you are looking okay. Would you have done anything in this situation, Fifey?
I would have been reluctant to do anything. No, I possibly. I mean, you highlighted Patsatsoglu there. I possibly would have considered maybe moving Ambrosini forward and bringing on maybe Vogel in the defensive position. But other than that, no, I can see why Hodges kept it the same.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe Hersey as well could have done a job at that AMC role and then put maybe Morientes up or something. But either way, he's keeping it as is. So let's kick off the second half and see what happens. Leddersford against Astor. If Alan Shearer can find the back of the net, or if the quality of the Leddersford players, as you mentioned there, continue to shine through. Yellow card for Lee Chun-so there. Soroczynski of all players. Utility player extraordinaire for Leddersford, coming up with the goods and putting them 3-1 ahead. We'll slow it down just for Hodgie, just for the last couple of minutes here. Ricardo Gardner might be might be in with a shout of getting an assist or getting involved there. Patsatsoglu coming forward. It doesn't look as if I was going to say Astor had anything to really offer, but they are coming forward a bit here, creating a couple of chances. But it doesn't look as if Alan Shearer is going to do much better than what Robbie Fowler did in the first half. Just a few seconds left, and no, there it is, 3-1 win for Leddersford. Soroczynski with the only goal of the second half, and that obviously secure Leddersford the win, and they continue their good run towards the playoffs, sort of emulating the run that they had last year, where they went 11 unbeaten to end up at the top of the table. Bring back Adolfo, says Potato Mourinho. Yeah, well, maybe when he shakes off his injury. We'll see how the last goal came about. The Nielsen robbed Lee Chun-so, so Chincha picked up the loose ball. Just a loose ball. What do you make of that Leddersford performance? Solid.
Yeah, very reminiscent of what I said about Haggis, another team building momentum and firmly looking up, not down. I said I'd not seen Lee Chun-so up front before. Clearly that worked. Ronaldinho again excelling, clearly liking it in yellow and blue a lot more than he did in black and red. I think Hodgie will be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, I mean, good start for when you take a big risk bringing in a big player, obviously, like Vieri has worked out for Sloths, and I think 9 games, and he's got what 7 goal contributions with the 3 assists now. So yeah, it's it's worked out okay with Ronaldinho here as well. Lee Chun So coming on, getting 2 goals. I mean, there's nothing in his stats that would suggest that he was capable of that, but Hodgie will take it definitely, and we have seen him perform well for Scott in the past, obviously not in this particular iteration, but in the past for under Scott's guidance. Soroczynski, a player that I make a big deal out of mentioning every now and again. I think he's so important for Leddersford. He can play literally every position. He never really has a bad game. Solid last season. Not spectacular, but just to have that one player that can play anywhere across the back, you don't really have to worry about substitutes, because you can shift him about to suit it. So yeah, solid Leddersford. Um, Potato Mourinho, they were obviously looking towards the playoffs after that result that they had last time out. That's a bit dodgy, isn't it? This one. Frank are not really at the races. Alan Shearer coming in and delivering a bad performance. Um, yeah, Placenta as
Yeah,
well.
it's
Not
not great,
brilliant.
but there were some semi decent performances. There's quite a few eights in there considering they lost 3-1. Obviously, the manager gets all the credit when a sub comes on and scores or plays a
Hmm.
blinder. So equally, the manager will take the criticism when he replaces a striker that was getting a 6 rating and the player that comes on gets a 5 rating. That's clearly not worked out at all. Um,
Yeah. That's,
it's proving to be difficult for Tato, but then I don't think he was thinking it was going to be that straightforward. Asta aren't the same team as Haggis were when he had his couple of games there. It takes a bit more figuring out what the perfect setup is. Um, they're still in the mix, but I don't think many people were overly thinking Alf was going to get Asta in the playoffs, and I don't think Tato coming in has changed many people's minds, if I'm being
yeah.
honest.
Well, fair point. I mean, certainly the result tonight didn't doesn't give too much hope. Ryan points out there a big shout out to Goran Pandev, who is on champ, who scored for North Macedonia today. Indeed, I'm not sure who else has. Hungary still got Gabor Kirali in goal. He's got to be one of the few other players that are up there in terms of age. I'm not sure who else is in the Euros that could potentially be in the Champ Manager database, but Pandev is definitely one of them if I remember rightly.
Well,
Um, hmm?
Shevchenko is the Ukraine manager these days.
Right, okay. Well, I guess. I guess Robbie Fowler not bringing the goods, says Wooda. No, indeed he didn't. Next up, we've got 3 games left this evening. We're pretty much on schedule, so that's not looking too bad. Kirali's trousers older than half the players in the tournament. Yeah, there was that thing about what was it again? Um, I think Pandev had already had like 2 caps or something when Jude Bellingham was born, or there was some kind of stat about that. I guess there's always going to be old and young players in the tournament, but still quite funny and nice to see Pandev, someone that I've been kind of following his career in Italy over the years. I think he's at Bologna or Genoa or something like that now, but followed him earlier. He was obviously in Inter under the other Mourinho. So yeah, interesting. Can't be having a goalkeeper in tracky bottoms. That is like for the under 14s or something like that. That's true. Anyway, back in back in the game, we've got Lokomotiv Boston, who are without injury. Um, Genoa, says Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. Um, Fixtures: Boston against Churchtown. Sorry, I just had to check who they were up against. No injuries, so he's got pretty much free reign in terms of selection, and this is who he's gone with. He's gone with Reusser in there, with Ricardinho, with Aymar, Klompe. So it, I mean, Bartes is obviously back in goal now since his sending off in that. Was it that was in your game he was sent off, wasn't it? He was sent off in that 5-1. He'd already conceded 4, and then he got sent off, and you had the penalty, didn't he? Fabian Bartes, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right.
No Kessman in for Pipo. All right, well, that's a good job you're awake. Righty. Right, we'll leave it on the screen for a couple of seconds in case Greavesy spots any other errors that I might have made.
He'll be watching this from behind his sofa because the last two times you've invited me onto commentary was the game where BTEC were about 27-0 up at BTEC, sorry, Northern Burn were about 27-0 up at half time. And the last time I was on, they also lost. And he said that I wasn't allowed on commentary again because every time I'm on, he loses.
Well, we'll see if the curse continues then. Wood says preferred when you go out with your missus and get pumped, Greaves. Oh yeah, that was last Wednesday, wasn't? Was it last Wednesday or last Sunday or what? Oh, was it Monday? I can't remember when it was, but either way, Greaves did go out and it didn't go well. Oh, was that the 5-1 game? Oh well, either way.
Yeah,
we'll
that was the game against us that Ryan did on the Friday night.
Oh yeah. It was that last minute show. That's right. It was a Friday. Martin Laursen and Klompe. I think he was it last week or the week before Greaves. He asked if I could give out a shout to Chima Klompe for his performance so far this season. Solid, yeah, absolutely solid. One of the best DCs in the league this season, and obviously a big part of them not conceding a bunch of goals apart from the odd blip. Question is, will there be a blip tonight? I mean, happy to see Barsom drop to the bench. I'll just add that. Will there be a blip tonight? Look at the injuries they've got. Pauve's injured, Cole's injured. I mean, Luke Chadwick, Oliveira. I think did Oliveira not score a goal for them recently? I feel like he did. He came on and scored a goal. When was that? Was it in this game? Yeah, it was Oliveira who got the winner. He's out now, obviously. So this is how they line up Churchtown. They've had their problems this season, ups and mainly downs in terms of the results. Formation familiar. Will it be enough for them? Do you think they can get something from Lokomotiv Boston here?
You can understand the approach taken. It's very, very defensive. I mean, the arrows give off the impression that it's attacking, but there's a lot of defensive positional players within that team. You've only really got sort of Totti and Elbert who haven't got a D, I believe, in their positions that are sort of being set by the game. But Churchtown have proven in recent weeks. I don't know if this is a Kieran team or a Dimble team, but Churchtown have certainly proven they're capable of getting results, and definitely capable of getting results against some of the not bigger teams in the league, but the ones doing better at the time. You know, so those close to the top of the table. So it wouldn't surprise me if Churchtown got something here.
Well, we'll definitely see with Zanetti out on that wing, Donny on the other wing. They obviously can be creative. Ian Campbell suspects there's long ball involved. Well, we'll see. Predictions welcome in the chat, obviously as usual, and we'll move on. Set up to nullify Loco. I like it. Well, it could be a 0-0. What do you think, Fifey? 0-0, or do you think someone's going to find the back of the net?
I was going to say 0-0, but given that Loco have lost the last two I've been on commentary for, I'm going to say 1-0 Churchtown.
1-0 Churchtown. Fair enough. Wooder says it's going to be a draw. Ian Edwards says it's going to be a 3-1 home win for Boston. That's a lot of goals.
Can you imagine Greaves' face if he loses for the third time in a row with me on commentary? He will go mad.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be happy, that's for sure. Well, he's not going to be happy if he loses, but obviously, if you are here, then he's got something to vent his anger towards. David says a 2-1 away win. Bloody defensive manager, says Greavesy. Yeah, well, let's see, Greavesy. Let's see how it goes with the defensive managers. We kick this off, and it's half an hour gone already, and absolutely nothing has happened. And 41 minutes played, and here comes Sambrota, and it's Elba coming forward, and that's halftime. Right?
Absolutely fucking awful.
I've just seen Steve's predictions coming up. Steve's halftime already, mate.
Jesus, I mean, Lokomotiv putting a little bit of effort. Churchtown, as was alluded to, have literally got in
Please.
shot. I mean, there's parking the bus, and then there's fucking parking the whole stadium in front of the goal. It's ridiculous.
I don't do I almost don't need the I almost don't need the scroll bar. Well, anyway, it's like when people are talking about like how Iniesta and Xavi really learned a lot from Michael Laudrup, and they called him Iniesta and Laudrup. It's like the magician and his maestro or whatever. It's almost like the shithousery magician and his maestro here. The supporters have already left. Um, yeah, Dimple says
How
perfect. I guess that's what they set out to achieve.
how is Boateng getting a 5 when you're playing that defensive? How is a defensive player getting a 5? I mean,
Hasn't done
the
anything by the looks of it, just stood there.
the stats are generally awful, but the one that matters is that the team in pink and white have not scored. So Churchtown will be happy, and they'll feel that. I think it was. I think me and Maka were saying during the England game that it looked like there was going to be a champion, and Croatia were going to nick it 1-0 at one point. This feels like Churchtown could nick this 1-0.
Well, he has put Esteban Cambiaso on, and we all know
Yeah,
what you think about Cambiaso. So I mean, it's really stacked in favor of the away side now, I would say.
yeah, come on, Cambiaso.
We'll have a look at Lokomotiv Boston. Not a lot happened for them, obviously, in the first half. Pablo Aimar had a couple of chances. Kessman had one as well. We'll see if Greavesy wants to make any changes. Manuel Petit. I mean, there's a lot of tackling going on in the Boston side.
Question: if Churchtown haven't bothered to attack at all, how is Klompe getting an 8?
I mean, he's done a lot of tackling. I don't know where he's done that particular amount of tackling. Maybe he's just gone up the other end and started kicking people out of boredom. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. You know
Well,
what? I don't even know what he looks like.
what, teammate Klompe?
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, do you want people to tell you what he looks like, or do you want us to pretend what he looks like? And we could say he's got like Shrek's face, Mickey
I
Mouse's
don't know.
body.
I might have to go. I will have to Google him now. Actually,
He basically looks like
he looks
the person
Finnish.
on the video to Ian.
Oh, yeah, he looks like a Finnish person. All right, okay, that's fine. Right, I don't know why. I had no idea. Anyway, he looks Dutch, Finnish, something. Either way, Del Vecchio for Kessman, swap with Ronaldo. Let's see if we can do that. Del Vecchio for Kessman, swap with Ronaldo. Makes sense. Right, we'll kick off the second half, and I'll stop googling people in the middle of the game.
Well, there's nothing else happening.
I was going to say, it's not as if I'm missing anything. It does look as if a little bit more has happened in the second half. I mean, both sides have had chances.
Cambiaso 1-0.
It's only
My running.
7 minutes to play. We'll put it on slow speed. Shouldn't take too long anyway, because there's probably not going to be a lot happening. It's going to be Coutinho, Martin Laursen getting involved. Pablo Aymar's offside. 2 minutes of added time. Is anything going to happen in those 2 minutes? The ball falls to Cambiaso. Oh, it would have been.
Cambiaso.
Oh, Donny with plenty of time, but rifles it wide.
Oh,
Okaronko. They are
oh,
coming forward. Last chance of the game. They can still do it.
Cambiaso.
Indirect free kick given. It's the danger's
Shoot.
not over, and now the danger's over. 0-0.
Boston they were terrible in the second half. They didn't have a single shot. Churchtown did 2 shoot, but not very well.
That was
Awful game. That's one of the worst games in Super League history.
that's quite poor. I mean, well, I would say respect to Mr. Dimble for making sure that Churchtown get a point away from home against
I mean,
last season's
yeah,
champions.
he has shit out the shit house there, hasn't he? Really, that's all you can say.
That's not it's not. I mean, credit and respect where it's due for getting the point, but I'm not going to dwell too long on the on the performance, to be completely honest. So, hmm?
It's all you can say. Well done, Jens Lehmann. He got an 8.
Yeah, well done Jens Lehmann, and well done the coaching staff for setting up the side with that particular objective in mind and achieving it.
I think Cambiasso's been harshly dealt a 6 there, considering he only played 45 minutes. He did 22 passes in that time, made all his tackles.
He had an interception and a run as well. He did foul someone though. But let's have a look at Boston stats. I want to see who was the. Well, it was all of them just running offside completely at random. Teemu Klumper getting man of the match. Not a single. Oh well, there's one key pass between them, which is not brilliant.
What that is, the only thing you can say about that game is that is a great result for everyone in the top 6.
Yeah, great result for the other top 6 sides, and I mean a clean sheet for Boston. You know what I mean? As Greavesy will attest to, if the other teams don't score, then you can't lose. So they continue their unbeaten run, but I perhaps hope for a little bit more there. But well played Dimple. That should immediately forfeit any post match analysis. I'm inclined to agree, Duggan. To be completely honest. Right, okay. Dimple says, enjoy that, Greavesy. I can see why you do it. Anyway, we don't quite have Devils against the Dragons yet. I think we have Northern Burn against Bostock Stanley. Scott's back from the pool. Welcome back, Scott. And we've obviously got Northern Burn. So let's have a quick look here. Mr. Edwards, without Sidney Gobu, that's not a particular loss because he rarely features, if ever. Sigalco up top, Del Piero, who's been pretty amazing this season. Not in terms of his average, but in terms of his contribution. Henri, Robben, and Nakata did really well last time out. What do you think? Northern Burn, good game for them, a good time of the season for them. There's got to be quite good morale in the squad, looking towards the potentially playoff spot here for them.
Yeah, as we sort of spoke about at the start, without going over old ground too much, you know, this is their year. And if it's not this year, you don't think it's ever going to be their year. They're so strong all over the pitch. They're in great form. It's all about, you know, can they hold their nerve? Can they handle the pressure now?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Jagata's contra on the wings, obviously, plenty of creativity in there, and Bostock Stanley haven't been the best defensively recently. So let's see what happens in this one. I was going to say if there's any outstanding players that we need to speak about. Sigalco is still in with a shout in terms of the top scorer, but they're still with only 11 and 19. I know that people see it differently. Some of the managers see it differently. I would just like to see someone up around the 20. They're up against Bostock Stanley. Let's have a look at how they line up. Bostock at Burn. Lisa Rasu on the left. Oh, what? That's not right, is it? Good Johnson and Ortega. They're the wrong way around, I think. Where is he? There he is. Right, I think that's probably better. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. I will have to go in and get my notes. Just a second.
Is he genuinely playing the imbalanced arrows?
A very, very professional chairmanship here. I'm just going to double check the actual formation that they have sent through. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's those. I thought that was wrong as well. Those are the two, Tudor and Gudjonsson. Trezeguet, Vincente, Eto, Brosak. Yeah, I don't know what exactly went wrong there. I think the rest of them are okay. Tudor, right? Yeah. Okay, goody. Well, with that out of the way, what do you make of it? What do you make of Bostock? I mean, it's quite brave away against Northern Burn. I mean, playing with 3 AMCs, Ortega coming down the right hand side as a fullback. What do you?
I mean, no, it's nothing we haven't seen before. You know, even at times I've been known to put attacking players as the wing back with the long arrow. I saw when you disappeared, I hadn't noticed you disappeared to go and check, and I was like, is he genuinely playing the imbalanced arrow there? It's be interesting to see what, if any, difference that makes. See, Eto, a player I know well, a player I like. Brozek, we all know what he's capable of. Trezeguet can turn it on when he wants, and the goalkeeper and the two centre backs, again, very good Super League pedigree. So it's not a bad side at all from Bostock. And I just, although a lot of people obviously like Johnson and Tudor individually, in this formation, with what I'm calling the Barry diagonal arrow, I'm not necessarily sure they're the right two. But like I say, it's a decent team, and you wouldn't say it was a definite win for Burn.
Well, we'll see. Predictions in the chat. If anyone agrees with Fife, is it a definite win for Bern? Yes or no? They are without Lasisi, without Milevski, without Collins. You'd say that's 3 starters, isn't it?
Yeah, they're significantly weakened, and that's worth noting. It was the same when we were looking at Hoffland earlier, and what a big loss he could prove to be. Do we not?
Tasty looking away kit there for Bostock Stanley as well.
Yeah, I was just saying, do we normally see Bostock's away colours?
Not that often, because red and white is not a particular sort of popular combination. I think it's probably one of the very few games that they will play this in. 1-1 says Steve Wright in terms of the result. So we'll see what everyone else has to say in terms of predictions. For you, Fifey?
It's very tough, because you know what both managers are like, and how they can set up their teams. But because of the run they're on at the minute, I'm going to say Burn 3-0.
A Burn 3-0 prediction. Well, we'll see what happens. Obviously, they were very, very dominant early on in the previous game against the Gazelles, and quickly set out their stall and put sort of the result more or less beyond any kind of doubt early on. Bostock Stanley, let's see if they can put up a bit more of a fight than what Gazelles did early on last week. We kick this off. Northern Burn against Bostock Stanley. Good start for Northern Burn here. A couple of early chances in the first 5 minutes. Tsigalco getting involved. Jogata's really doing a lot down the left-hand side. I think it's down the left-hand side, but it's Vincente who opens the scoring. Bostock Stanley 1-0 up. He's been someone that just picked from the reserves, I think, this season, or was it last? I can't remember, but not someone that I would have expected to see involved a whole lot, but hanging on for dear life now. Bostock Stanley is Northern Burn creating all of the chances. Quick counter attack here towards the end of the first half, but it stays 1-0 going into the break. Northern Burn on top, but Bostock Stanley just a little bit more cynical, and they're the ones who lead at halftime. Fifey.
Yeah, Burn being punished for not taking their chances there. Bostock haven't, they've not been completely outclassed and outplayed, and crucially, they took their chance that they had. But Ian will be frustrated looking at that. I mean, Andre 9 tells you everything you need to know about the first half.
Yeah, good solid goalkeeping performance there. Something that Scott will be happy with. He'll be happy to see Lizaras, who is captain, on an 8. Gary Neville back in defence where he belongs on an 8 as well. I'm not a big fan of him at wing back. I think he offers more to the team. I'm not saying he's a bad wing back. I'm just saying that he offers more in that central role. What else have we got? We've got Brosek on a 6. So the front men not really brilliant. Eto for Shaq, swap with Brosek is the instructions. I was going to say the front 3 here not really delivering a huge amount, and Scott has got a bit of a change coming up. And he moves Brosek to the center. You think that's going to be enough to hold on? He's not going to make any defensive substitutions. I mean, he does have Welsh on the bench, but I guess where would you put him? You could maybe put him in instead of Ortega, but I guess he's not done particularly well when he's played. You think Bostock can hold on here?
I mean, we know they're capable. We know Scott can get his side to defend when he needs them to. I think it's more about Burn and what they do now. Do they continue to pile on the pressure, or do they struggle to deal with the situation? Is the question.
Yeah, I was singing Del Piero's praises there at halftime, but he hasn't really delivered. He does have Petkov. I think is it Petkov that's kind of an AMC, or is it the other one? It's Stanic that's the attacking player he's got to potentially put on. We'll see if Ian wants to do anything here. Tsigalko 5 shots, 4 on target. He says as is. Are you surprised at that? Would you have dived straight into the substitutes bench?
Not necessarily. You look at the options on the bench, and they're not substantially better than what's on the pitch.
Mm, mm,
I mean, this is where I struggle with ratings sometimes, because I think Del Piero's been more involved and effective than Henri, yet one's got a 6, one's got a 7, and for me it's the wrong way round. But yes, when they've been playing so well of late, one slightly below average half of football isn't reason for mass changes. So
mhm.
I think Ian will be stood there still quietly confident that they'll get something out of this game.
3 passes, 3 completed though, and a 7. That's fairly generous. Let's have a look at the second half. Northern Burn, if they can find the back of the net. Sigalko's obviously tried on a number of occasions, but Andrew's been holding firm so far. So let's have a look. A couple of changes there one change for Bostock, obviously. Um, Looks as if it's continuing along the same lines. Bostock creating a couple of chances. Northern Burn definitely not out of it. Tsigalko heavily involved as he was in the first half, and there he is with the equaliser. Was perhaps just a matter of time with a 5 or 6 shot he had in the first half. 15 minutes to play, still all to play for both sides. Is that Tsigalko again? 2-1. He is really finding the back of the net here in the second half. And there comes Carlos Shax coming forward for Bostock, not finding the goal. Trezeguet tries his luck. Toldo holds on well to that one. It's still Bostock trying to create something here. Trezeguet sends the ball wide. 3 minutes to go. Northern Burn, can they hold on? Looks as if they're going to create a chance here. Del Piero come forward, rifles in the shot. Andre does well to parry. Silvestre heads the ball out of danger. Here comes Robben, down to the very last couple of chances, and there's Tsigalko completing his hat trick. When he's in that kind of form, Bostock Stanley are without their equivalent David Collins. It's obviously going to be a struggle for them. David Trezeguet has definitely not been at that level in terms of goal scoring performance, and it finishes 3-1. Northern Burn continue their impressive form of late, and it's that man Tsigalko I mentioned there. I was expecting to see him in amongst the top scorers, and he's proven his worth for Northern Burn.
He's been in superb form. Scoring plenty of goals. Burn themselves a bang at it at the minute, as I alluded to, and they're now in the ideal situation because they've won. Loco have dropped points, and Devils are playing Dragons, so at least one of those is dropping points as well. So Ian, it's the perfect night for him now.
Yeah, it's gone well for Northern Burn. Max damage, Maxim. There's a lot of love for the Belarusian in the chat, obviously. Let's have a look and see how the goals came about in the second half. It was Jairo chipped the ball forward to Tsigalko. I think was that the first one? Yes, it was. Silvestre could not, or Tsigalko just running past. Where was it? From the halfway line, running past Silvestre, running past Neville, curl the ball in the goal from 20 yards. That's a bit of a legendary finish for Maxim Tsigalko there. Well done him. And last but not least, Tsigalko with a cross from out wide. I mean, as we mentioned there, and as you said, they're missing 3 first teamers. They're missing David Collins. It's not as if they did particularly bad, but he could have had Lasisi at the back instead of Silvestre. He could have had even more steel in the center of the park with whatever the other chap, Milevski, and ultimately he could have had David Collins, who on form has been a much better goal scorer this season than Trezeguet. That's because apart from that, there's not really much letting the side down for Bostock, is there?
No, again, there's can't remember what game it was earlier that it was very similar where they got plenty of 8s. Was it Asta?
Potentially, yes.
Attacking players from Bostock where that they're all getting 5s and 6s, and as you say that they're missing Collins. That's where they need to improve. Are they too reliant on one player?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably say that for, but then again, every time I mention, that's funny you should say that, because every time I mention it, I want a striker that scores 20 goals, and then everyone's saying, oh, you shouldn't rely on just on one goal scorer, and maybe that is the case. Maybe you need the rest of your team to contribute. I keep forgetting he's not with us anymore, Hodgie. Oh, they're talking about Maxim and Mark Vivian Foe. So there's two ghost goal scorers, says Hodgie, obviously tonight. Looking at Northern Burn, somehow someone got an assist for that goal where Sigalko ran from his own pit half and passed two players and scored from 20 yards. Someone picked up an assist for that, so congratulations to them. It was the Maxim show, wasn't it?
It was, but equally, he'll take all the headlines, and quite rightly so. Got the hat trick and the points, but look at the defenders, and in fact, all over the pitch. Eights and nines scattered. When 7 is your lowest, you'd be very disappointed if you didn't win. Even if that had finished as a draw with them ratings, Ian would have been fuming.
Yeah, and I was going to say the two sevens is obviously Del Piero and Thierry Henry, who's just had their. I think they just didn't get a look in, to be honest. Maxim's just hoovered the ball up. Yeah, 10 shots, 8 of them on target. That is pretty spectacular, and obviously very, very difficult to deal with. Winning everything in the air as well. I mean, eight headers, 6 of them won, with 6 for heading. That's quite impressive as well. So yeah, good night at the office for Ian, and obviously standing behind his chair there, overseeing proceedings in the second half. He would have been quite happy to see Maxim picking up the old hat trick there. We'll see how that affects the table, obviously, come the end of the evening. First up, we do have just a small little detail of the Devils up against the Dragons. So you can see if I think everyone's in their right position. It looks like it. Talk us through your lineup, Fifey, and your asymmetrical arrow on Montella, and what else you think might be interesting for the viewers.
Well, none of it. But maybe the title of the formation will be interesting for the obviously, both teams you'll see as well when the Dragons come up. Both teams are missing crucial centre backs. Obviously, Montero's out for me. I think Lucio's out for Dragons, and possibly West from memory. I can't remember what they posted, if I'm honest, but we'll see that shortly. I said we've been consistently inconsistent. We've been fucking awful, is the honest assessment, for the last God knows how long. And we're only still considered in the mix because of the start of the season we had. I've looked through a few of the stats, and it seems that the midfield is where still we seem to be losing ground. Knowing that, Dragons have been that good, they're not likely to have changed things. So Edgar Davids will play in that centre midfield role. I'm trying to swamp him a little bit by having the 3 in the middle, and hoping, Montella's not been great when I've put him in attacking midfield, but normally he's been in that 3 that we spoke about earlier. So I thought maybe having him on his own might make a difference. He scored 3 goals, but they were all in the one game where we played with 10 men.
True.
It's difficult to give him I've heard people say he's better on his own, but it's difficult to give him that chance on his own when you've got Mpenza that generally does it on his own as well. So he needs to. 13 and 16 is a decent record, but when you see the likes of Sigalko getting hat-tricked, that's what we need from him. But, I'm just trying something a little bit different. It was a flip-up who would play in defensive midfield. Both of them are getting sort of 7.5-ish averages, and I think Graverson's is ever so slightly better. That's the only reason he got the nod there. But yeah, obviously Dyer continues to be probably my best player. Harry Kewell's back in the team for the first time in about 4 games, I think.
Yeah, Ian Edwards says Kuhl could be the key here. Duggan says Swamp Davids, but Tommy Gravison is going to get bummed off back and Cole up the Dragons. And yeah, that's what they think. Also, don't compare centre back exclusions when you can lob those two in. So apparently, being without Giuliano and Montero, and then getting Nesta and Christian Kivu in instead isn't considered a problem when you see that they are, as you mentioned there, they are without West and Lucio, and their substitutions are Ronnie J and and Marcus Babel. So this is how they line up. As you mentioned, there are not that many changes. They've got Baumer on the left hand side. Front three are the same. Davids, as you said, they're the same. Said Elias. It's really at the back with Babel coming in, and Khan obviously being the stalwart that he has been for Dragons this season, 789 and only conceding 20 in 18. Should have took Vogel and not Montella, says Hodgie. Yeah, well, it's something to consider maybe for next time. There's going to be players swapped around. Um, what do you make of the Dragons? Anything that worries you? I mean, you can't be worried about Joe Cole, Arik Back, and Constantino, can you?
Of course you can. They're top of the league for a reason. Joe Cole's been maybe a little bit quieter. He started the season well. Constantinu's been very good. Back's been excellent of late. And yeah, as I said, they're top of the league for a reason. I said at the start they're one of the teams I've enjoyed watching. I'm calling this last chance saloon because it's a massive ask for the Devils to win this, in my opinion. And if we do, it'll be one hell of a result. Dragons have been monumental. It's unreal to go from bottom to top as quickly as they have, and full credit to them for doing so.
Yeah, and Juninho could obviously come in and do something in this particular game. He is on the bench, so we'll see. He'll be given number 44, I think. Well, that's just a little bit silly. Can you not have number 11? I think you can. 3-3 says Dan Mega Horse. Lots of goals in this one. What do you think, Fife? Is going to be goal in this one?
You know what? In the past, me and Jamie often played out 4-3 games, but I noticed that over the last 2 games have been a lot more narrow affairs. So if we win, it'll be by 1. If they win, it'll be by 2.
Well, I'll see if I can remember that come the end of the evening. Well, I guess there's nothing else for it than just kick. Sorry?
I'm very concerned this is going to be a long 90 minutes.
Oh, I hope the cat's hiding safely somewhere. Let's kick off the first half and see how it goes. Devils takes on Dragons. Juninho getting 44 when 11 available says it all. So Ian Edwards doesn't think much of Juninho Paulista apparently, but we'll see. Maybe he'll come on and be the deciding factor in the second half. Let's kick this one off. Devils taking on the Dragons. First chance for the Dragons, but it's the Devils that are creating chances after that. Although, having said that, it's a little bit difficult to work out what's going on here. There seems to be a lot going on in both ends of the pitch. Very much a backwards and forward battle here. No Wayne Oldham or Wayne Dade or anyone like that. Card slingers around, so pretty safe. Oh, it is Joe Cole who's bumming Tommy Gravison, bringing Dragons 1-0 up, but it's Harry Kuehl as Ian. Oh, wow.
Fuck off.
Sorry, I was saying something about red cards. Here's one. Shift Emerson slightly, or what do you think?
Yeah, just shift Emerson over, please.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine, thanks.
Yeah, well, Barry Ferguson, just after Kuehl had equalised there, obviously Barry Ferguson picks up the red card. We'll have a look at halftime and see what actually happens, and see if the Devils can hold on for the remaining 7 or 8 minutes of the first half, as look to get some halftime team talk and motivational speeches going. Dragons trying their hardest to find a way back in head, but it is Emerson who isn't picked up running forward and actually putting the Devils 2-1 up. A little bit surprising perhaps, but they have done relatively well with 10 men in the past, Devils, if I am not much mistaken. Am I mistaken, Fifey? Have you done pretty well with 10 men in the past?
Not normally, but the last time we had 10 men was the one that Montella got the hat trick in.
I thought that was one you mentioned. Well, you've been the better side in the first half, apart from the red card, obviously. 8 shots, 4 on target. Dragons have been a little bit wasteful with their 7 and only 2 on target. In terms of possession, it's hardly been down in your penalty area, even though they've had a bunch of the ball. So I guess you can be relatively happy with that. Let's see how the goals came about. First up, let's have a look. Bauma found Cole in the area, not with a header, which is always something. Elias could not stop Kuhl going past him. It's Kuhl with a very long and macy run. Someone will have had that. Angrily, Ferguson kicked out at Khan. That's a little bit odd, but okay. And that's a red card, obviously. Nesta headed the ball into Emerson in the area, and Emerson then scored. So let's have a look at the Devils and their first half performance. Apart from Barry Ferguson, that's gone pretty well for you, hasn't it?
Unbelievably well, really. I said I was concerned at the start. There was a lot. We seemed to start quite well, and we didn't take any chances. And then Dragons came into it, went 1-0, and I thought, oh shit, here we go again. But ultimately, it's gone reasonably well. I don't expect it to stay like this. Dragons will pile on the pressure with us only having 10 men. But I'm going to leave it as it is, please, because at the moment it's going reasonably well.
And you might need that sub later on if things deteriorate further in the card department. Let's have a look at the Dragons, their first half performance. Duggan says you'd almost think it was as if Fifey had the best squad in the league. Excuses coming now, says Steve Wright. Get a bit of that chat going. Let's have a look at the Dragons' first half performance. It's been pretty poor, to be honest. 6s and 7s. Elias doing okay.
It seems to be, it's the phrase a war of arbitration, because my attackers all got 6s, his attackers have got, or their, I should say theirs, because there's 3 of them. Their attackers got 6s. It seems to be, I was right to judge it as the midfield battle, it would appear, because that's where, it seems to be being played with the attackers not performing particularly well for either side.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not trying Juninho Paulista for Arik back. I would have definitely done that just to see how he performs and get the old previous team kind of curse going. But they're leaving him on the bench. Babel done nothing, haven't even made a tackle. No, that is poor for a central defender. You are right, Wood. That is quite poor. Come on, number 44. Well, he's not coming on, Ian, unfortunately. We'll kick off the second half and we'll see what Dragons can do if they can find a way back into this. Oh my goodness, 10 minutes in and it's been all Devils. And now it's Dragons' turn to pick up a red card. Emerton would play for me, says Ian Campbell. Well, let's see what the 2 Dragons want to do about this one. I would have tried Juninho here, not my sub. Well, you can try Juninho now if you want, because you're welcome to do something.
I mean, what I say would have no relevance, but for how they're playing, I would probably just move Cole back and make back central and just put them in a line of 3 potentially.
Back up top, Cole in behind. Yeah, but you can't swap. You can only swap. You can't change to 2 attackers.
No, I mean put Cole into midfield.
Oh no, I was just saying to Duggan. That's not how it works.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I couldn't see that. I couldn't see comments, so I didn't know that you put anything. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, I can only swap them around, but drop Cole in. Hokey dokes. I mean, we can move back centrally if that makes sense. Back in behind then. Okay, cool. Yep. Got that. Okay, cool. So we carry on with this. Still no Juninho. Brave. Arrow on back or Cole?
Here.
Keep Arrow. Okay. Right. Okay. Righty-ho. I guess this will do. What do you think, Fifey? 2/3 of the game gone. Nervous yet?
Severe palpitations at Devils HQ. they're definitely going to score a second. It's just whether we get a third.
Let's have a look and see how it goes. I mean, it could be anything now with so much space left on the pitch when there's only 20 guys left out there. 12 minutes to play. Does look as if it's still very, very much in the balance. 9 minutes to play. Dragons have created a couple of chances, and Devils have failed to take theirs. But there goes the final whistle.
Fucking come on!
So you bought your drink in the last chance saloon, and you're still there. I
mean,
think wasteful is the word that that immediately springs to mind when I see those stats for the Dragons. 74 minutes, and we're not throwing Juninho on. Wood are clearly not happy with Duggan's decision making here. So it'll be crisis meeting back at the Dragons' lair, if there is such a thing. Yeah, I mean,
for two teams at the top end of the table, the attacking generally was fucking awful. The shots on target conversion rate. I mean, obviously, I'm delighted with the result. I didn't see it coming, especially being down to 10 men for so long. 10v10, as you said, anything could happen, and virtually nothing happened, which suited me because we were winning at the time. Edgar Davids being the man that got the red card, I think was crucial, because he's obviously one of the star players. But yeah, I'm delighted. I know the Dragons boys will be frustrated, and they'll claim that it's because my squad is so much superior to theirs. But at the end of the day, they're still sitting top of the table, and I live to fight another day.
Yeah, I was going to say, rest of the league will be happy with that result. Hodgie says he's not. You got to be asking questions at Arik back. 5 shots, none of them on target. You've got Juninho, a certified goal scorer for Middlesbrough. on the bench. Well, we'll see. We'll see if he'll get a chance next time out. Joe Cole with a good performance for them anyway, and overall not too bad. Just a shame with the red card, obviously on that second yellow. Nesta, man of the match for you, along with Van Bronckhorst picking up 9s. Gravison, Big Tommy G picking up a 9 there as well.
Yeah,
and
Tommy
Emerson.
Going to get bummed by all the attacking midfielders. He got a 9. Nesta, best game in a Devils shirt since he signed, so delighted with that, with Montero missing. Kivu, again, whenever he's been asked to play, he's been quite unfortunate because we have Montero, he hasn't played more. But whenever he's been called upon really this year, he hasn't generally let us down. And Kieran Dyer, again, very, very tough ask against Baumer, but he seems to have done the job there. Still concerned that you've got Mpenza, Montero on the Montella on the pitch. I mean, they got 8 and 7 between them, but no goals. Emerson back in the team, absolute delight for both Emerson and Kuehl. They've both been out the team for a little while and come back and scored.
Yeah, good job for them there. Good job done by the players. Interesting that, I mean, I've mentioned Kieran Dyer as well. He's done a particularly good job at 8 average and 19 games and 4 assists. But over on the other side, we've got the Gio Van Bronckhorst with 16 games and 9 assists. So well played him as well. Obviously been quite an important player for you as well. Can't play 2-4-1, 2-1 away in the Super League. Wood are too wide open in the middle. Well, especially with the player sent off, it's going to be very open down the middle. I mean, I know they moved the guy back, but either way, I'll let the tactical discussions carry on until late into the evening on social media if people aren't busy posting videos of attractive young ladies, as Rob managed earlier on this evening. Let's see what it does to the table. Dragons 1 point ahead of the Sloths, who are 1 point ahead of Northern Burn, who are 1 point ahead of Boston, who are 1 point ahead of the Devils. I mean, it's exciting, isn't it? Exciting times in the Super League. Fulchester stay in 6 on 29 points. There's Aston 28, Leddersford now on 27, Gazelles 27. Very, very much all to play for with 6 games remaining. Even Haggis, Hunters, and Bostock Stanley. I mean, I know that Scott said he needed to win 6 out of 7 games. 5 points behind though, with 6 games to play. definitely not impossible. Hools might be a bit of a stretch for them on 21. I think that's probably a little bit too far. Dudley and Churchtown, obviously. I mean, mathematically still possible, but probably not going to happen. Dudley will take a lot from that result that they had tonight. You feeling a little bit more confident now, Fifey, after that result?
It was needed, but I mean, if you look at it, one of the top four won, and then we won, and we haven't gone anywhere. That's how far adrift we technically are. You use the word exciting. Yes, it is. I mean, as you said, you've got 36, 35, 34, 33, 32. Then you've got 29, 28, 27. And then even at the bottom, I think it was it 17, 18, 21. So all over the table for the neutral is exciting, but there's going to be a lot of soul searching by a lot of managers. There's going to be a lot of interesting moves played over the next 6 games, perhaps some tactical tweaks just to try and give that edge to achieve whatever it is.
Yeah, well, it'll be something that all the managers will be looking for. So Astros be looking at getting results. Dragons will be looking to get back to winning ways. Fulchester, who aren't in the best of form and don't have all the striking options. Maybe they'll have better ones. Who knows if Comandini will be back anyway. Dudley will be looking to maybe pick something up there. Gazelles, who've been in trouble here of late, will look to turn their fortunes around. Lokomotiv Boston, can they continue to just rely on draws, or are they going to have to win games as well? We'll have to wait and see. Difficult one for Bostock traveling to Hools. Both sides, I mean, must win for both sides. Hools just from a morale perspective, and Bostock, if they are to have any chance, both them and Haggis Hunters probably need to pick up 3 points, both of them away from home there. Haggis Hunters probably have the most difficult job, as they're going to Leddersford, who are really finding some form now.
Haggis are banging form as well. That's considering their league position, that game's massive.
That's a cracking game to look forward to. That Leddersford Haggis Hunters game, definitely. Northern Burn Churchtown, that's a difficult one. I guess that we're going to see a very similar formation or setup from Dimple and Kieran, trying some damage limitation, and trying to somehow stop Maxim Tsigalko, who's obviously banging form now. And then yourself facing the Sloths. Can we expect any revelations from from scantily clad ladies coming up to this one, Fifey? Do you think?
I do hope so.
It would be ideal. Fancy your chances? I mean, Sloths, Vieri.
I mean, you have to say yes, I suppose. But when they've got I alluded to it at the start. They played Dragons, then they played and then they play us next time round. And who is it they played? I've forgotten already who they played today. Who did they just play?
They with Fulchester. They had Dragons, Fulchester, then you, then Leddersford.
So it was a crucial point in their season. When you're all playing each other, you can't win every game. So the fact that we've just beaten Dragons suggests that we're not going to beat Sloths. But again, we need to beat Sloths because you've shown already in the league table there is 1 point between just about every team the further down the league you go. So any points dropped means we lose positions, we don't gain positions. Draws aren't good enough for anyone now.
Yeah, well, we'll see if if a draw will be good enough for anyone next time out. Another exciting night in the Super League. Some big results. A bit of a surprise there. Maybe Dudley picking up a win. Tsigalko reclaiming the top of the top scorer chart. He's on 14 now, just one ahead of Impensa. David Collins behind them. Yeah, still as mentioned, still all to play for. Still all to play for in the league. So with that, I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you to everyone who joined in the commentary. All the managers, thank you very much appreciated your input and your engagement as always. It's makes it a pleasure to be in charge of the show. And Fifey, as always, great to have you along with your insight. Happy to deliver a win for you. That's not always I can do that when you're on co-coms, but it was a good night for you tonight, I think.
Always a pleasure being on. Thanks everyone for the comments, and yes, an excellent night for us. Let's hope this is the start of something special.
Excellent, excellent. Packs will be out shortly. Ryan will be in touch with the schedule for the next show, I think. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the Euros. I hope your teams do well, whether they're your sweepstake teams or your real teams. And yeah, that's it for me. I'll be back probably next Sunday. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and good night.